So, shall we start? I think it's time. Again, we'll try to generate good intention, motivation for a few moments. May us coming together and sharing and engaging in discussions become cause and condition to cultivate shamatha or meditative concentrations and special insight of wisdom realizing emptiness. May become cause and condition to achieve fully enlightened state, so we can be most and greatest help and benefit to each and every sentient being. Okay, so to the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond the four destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect knowledge in its good conduct, Sukada, Lord of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya plane, I prostrate, make offering, and go for refuge. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the Great Sangha, to all three, ever devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all rams, Adams, in all respects, with the supreme faith, I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous action. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual apprehension, a flame of lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning and cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through this merit may sentient beings attain the rank of all beings, subdue the four faults, and be delivered from samsaric ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. I prostrate with the Arya triple gem. Thus did I hear at one time the Bhagavan was dwelling on the mass above the mountain in Rasgriha together with great community of monks and great community of bodhisattvas. At that time the Bhagavan was observed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perception. Also at that time the bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those five aggregate also as empty of inherent nature. Then through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara: how should any son of the lineage train who wish to practice the activities of profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra: Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wish to practice the activities of profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this correctly and repeatedly, beholding those five aggregate also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness. Form, emptiness not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are emptiness. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, no division, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factor, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no order, no taste, no object, touch, and no phenomena. There is no I element, so on, up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and a path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond ego, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in 3 times also manifestly, completely awaken to the unsurprised perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurprised mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that truly pacifies all suffering, should be known as truth since it's not false. The mantra of perfection of wisdom is declared, Tayata Om Gate Gate, Parakate, Parasam Gate, Bodhi Soha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Master, should train in a profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commanded the Bodhisattva Master Aryavalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage. It is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Aryavalokiteshvara, and those surrounding the entirety alone, the world of the god, humans, asura, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. So shibe ge chon she me do ra re ra le she yin de gen ba de sang ge shin do mi de o wa do gun nama da shin Je Joyous Gururana Mandala Handiyatayami. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create to listen to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient. Sangye Chodan Soge Zonam, Janju Badu Dane Gata, Dagi Shoshegi Besonam, Dola Penje Sangye Duva. Sangye Chodan Soge Zonam, Janju Badu Dane Gata, Dagi Shoshegi Besonam, Dola Penje Sangye Duva. So I think we will have 3 more class this Wednesday, and I think we should, the last Wednesday of this month is the Je Tsongkhapa's day, so we'll be doing some Je Tsongkhapa's Guru Yoga, Lama Chopa, and I think it also seems very nice. We complete one of his studying one of his great writing, the middle lamrim, and then just after that, then so within those next 3 Wednesday, we will try to complete it. So today we will start. Last week we kind of went through the divisions of the special insight. And there are 3 different ways of dividing it. And so today, I think we go to page number 277 in terms of the PDF. I don't know exactly where it says how to cultivate special insight.
Yeah, it's on book.
Which number is the book?
Let's see. You're on 276. I thought we were on 276. So we're somewhere between the section where it begins how to cultivate special insight is on the book on page 407.
Okay, that one. Okay. So we'll start there today. So again, that has three kind of outlines, and then within that, within the first outline, the statement in many texts that should be practiced in this order: the order of first cultivating the shamatha and then special insight. So that order, and then again that order occurring. So in the sutra, the unraveling the intended meaning, which is part of the third turning over the wheel of Dharma, it is clearly mentioned that one should first develop the shamatha, and after that, then one should cultivate the special insight, and also all the other great Indian masters, including Maitreya and the Bodhisattva level, which is by Asanga, and Sarvaga level also by Asanga, Baba Vika, Shantideva, Kamala Shilas, in his writing of 3 stages of instruction, perfection, wisdom. All of them, they follow the same. They all have same explanation. First, you need to cultivate the shamatha, and on the basis of shamatha, then you cultivate the special insight. Okay, so that is the gradual stages of in that, how to practice and cultivate that realization in that order. So here it is saying, when you try to cultivate when you try to cultivate the shamatha and special insight, it doesn't mean that objects have to be same. That what you need when you are developing shamatha and when you are trying to develop special insight, the object of that meditations doesn't have to be same. Okay, doesn't have to be same in that, because the difference between the shamatha and special insight is not based on the objects, but it is based on how they observe or how they apprehend the objects, and one is a single point of placement and one is analysis, the way it is. So therefore, the object can be same, object can be different, So the object of the shamatha and the object of the special insight can be same, or it can be different objects of that meditations. So and then, there is in the instruction of professional wisdom, even though there is some explanation, but here Je Tsongkhapa was saying, he's going to follow what Arya Asangas, the way he says, So first you need to discuss special insight that observe verities. Verity means conventional phenomena, conventional phenomena, the object being the conventional phenomena instead of the ultimate phenomena or emptiness, okay? So of that, and that, after the shamatha has been generated, then one can generate a special insight. And when we set a special insight, there can be 2 different types of special insight, okay? And one is, what is known as special insight, peaceful and gross aspect, okay? By relying on the shamatha, one developed that, and which is common to both Buddhists and non-Buddhists, as well as is common to both ordinary and Arya beings. So that kind of, so not only the shamatha is common to Buddhists and non-Buddhists, okay? The practice of shamatha very common to the both Buddhists and non-Buddhists. Earlier non-Buddhist school of thought in India, they also developed shamatha. So it is common. Not only that is common, even the one particular special insight of peaceful and growth is also common. Okay, that kind of special insight is also common to both Buddhists and non-Buddhists, as well as Arya and ordinary beings. And what that means is, when you try to develop, at different stages of the shamatha, and when you meditate, you try to see the different realms. Like, for example, within the realms, there is 9 realms, desire realm, and there are 4 form realms, and there are 4 formless realms. So in order to achieve, shamatha of the first form realms, you try to meditate by seeing the desire realm as undesirable with a lot of fault, and the God realm of first level of the form as being more desirable and more peaceful or desirable or better. So you do that kind of meditations to achieve that kind of shamatha. And then in order to achieve shamatha of the form realm of second, then you try to see the first realm of that God realms as undesirable with a lot of faults. And then second form realms as more desirable with less problems, less faults, and better. And so that is how it goes. So that is what it means when we say peaceful and growth. Expect special insight on that. Okay. So that is why it's common to both Buddhists and non-Buddhists. Even though non-Buddhists have those 4 different levels of those shamatha as that, and when to do that, then you have to do that special kind of practice, and so that is also ordinary beings. No. So the next one, it says, when we are trying to meditate, and when we talk about special insight is developed on the basis of someone who has already developed shamatha. Okay, on the basis of someone who has developed shamatha, then you really engage into the special insight, really special insight. Okay, so therefore here, if someone is trying to cultivate shamatha for the first time, because they have not developed or cultivated shamatha before, they are trying to develop for the first time, then you shouldn't be analyzing too much, or you shouldn't be analyzing the object. Because if you analyze the object, then you wouldn't be able to develop the shamatha. Because shamatha is placing the mind, focusing the mind single pointedly to the object. Okay, if you analyze, you lose that single pointedness, to be able to place completely on that. For someone who has not already developed shamatha, and therefore for such persons, then if you are trying to develop shamatha, then trying to analyze the aspect of the object will be obstacles to develop the shamatha. So therefore you shouldn't be doing that. Otherwise you will not be able to achieve the shamatha. Okay. So that is so if you try to focus and place your mind without any kind of analysis, whatever object of your shamatha, if you just do that, then you can achieve shamatha over the time. By analyzing it, then you will not be able to achieve the shamatha for those who are trying to develop for the first time. So that is, and then next one in the D, it says, once you have achieved or cultivated the shamatha, once you have achieved and cultivated the shamatha, then, on the basis of that shamatha, on the basis of that meditative concentrations, then you carry on the analysis on the basis of that shamatha with that single-pointed mind. That single-pointed concentrations, then you try to analyze, so you try to do the special insight meditation that is analyzing, that is, you do the analytical meditation or analyzing, individually, with the wisdom, that distinguish individually, so whichever object, whether it is a conventional object or whether it is emptiness itself, doesn't matter. But on the basis of shamatha, then you try to do that kind of analysis. Okay, the object, whether it's mode, the mode here means emptiness. Okay, or the verities. The verity here means conventional phenomena. So whether object is the emptiness or conventional phenomena, whatever object that is, it doesn't matter. And with that, on the basis of shamatha, when you do that kind of analysis, then that analysis actually eventually induce special single-pointed concentrations. So, instead of that analyze being obstacle for your single-pointed concentration, actually it induce even stronger and more powerful and special single-pointed concentrations. Very unique. Do you get it? For someone who have not achieved shamatha, if you do analysis, it becomes obstacle for your single-pointed concentrations. But for someone who has already developed shamatha, and then you use that shamatha for analysis, on the basis of that single-pointed concentration or shamatha, then you use wisdom to analyze whatever, whether it is the conventional phenomena or whether it is emptiness. You analyze, and by truth that, then that kind of analysis induce even more stronger, even more powerful single-pointed concentrations. And that is the uniqueness, and that is very powerful. So that is where Je Tsongkhapa said. So because of that, since extremely powerful kind of single-pointed concentration is achieved, that cannot be achieved through formal method of mere placements. That kind of strong, powerful, special single-pointed concentration cannot be achieved just by shamatha itself. By formal, mere placement means that just by the shamatha itself, it cannot achieve. But on the basis of that shamatha, when you do analytical, then you can achieve that. And therefore, analytical concentration is praised. Therefore, analytical concentrations is highly praised by the Buddha and all the great masters. By the Buddha and all the great masters. And so that kind of, that special powerful meditative concentration you achieve through analysis, through the shamatha, through the special insight is much more powerful meditative concentrations. And so then, so I think it is already kind of, yeah. Again, it doesn't matter, whether the object is same or different. But first, you try to accomplish the shamatha, and afterwards, you try to cultivate the special insight by relying on that shamatha, and the mode of, it is a different mode of maintaining between the shamatha and special insight. So it doesn't differentiate on the basis of the object. The object can be same or object can be different, but because So therefore, because the way the mode, the way they maintain the object, or the way they perceive the objects is a difference. So therefore, that is the different shamatha, and it is not differentiated on the basis of the objects. The object can be same or different. So that is the. So in order to be able to, in order to overcome, in order to eliminate, overcome, and abandon the afflictive emotions or the obscurations, what need to be abandoned, the obscurations, in order to abandon whatever obscurations, whatever defilements, we need to have a very strong and stable ascertainments, about. And in order to have that kind of very strong and stable ascertainment, then we need to have a cultivation of special insight, whether it's a peaceful and gross special insight, or whether it's a special insight realizing the emptiness, either of them, so that is, so that kind of analyze and maintaining mean of wisdom is very necessary, because it is very powerful when we have that to abandon the afflicting emotions, I think, I don't know whether it comes here or not. The difference between those two special insight, even though both of them are special insight, but with a special insight of peace and growthful growth analysis, with that, it cannot abandon all the afflictive emotions. It can only abandon gross level of afflictive emotions, or in other ways, it can abandon the afflictive emotion from arising, certain afflictive emotion from manifesting or arising. But it cannot abandon or eliminate from the very root of it. On the other hand, the shamatha that realizes emptiness, can act as an antidote to overcome all the afflictive emotion from the very root of it. And so therefore, among those two shamatha, we have to cultivate the shamatha that realizes emptiness. And that is not common to Buddhists and non-Buddhists. It's very unique of the Buddhist special insight. No other school of thought about all phenomena being empty of inherent existence, independently existent. No one talk about that. It's only the Buddhism and Buddha who taught that all phenomena are empty of inherent existence or independent existence, how all the phenomena are independent. So that understanding, shamatha, that understanding that phenomena, the emptiness, is the key, So here it says at the edge, how there are other also special insight, not only the peaceful and gross aspect, but also so special insight that observe variety is not merely meditation that has the peaceful and gross aspect of abandoning manifest mental afflictions, But according to the instruction of perfectional wisdom, it also explains analytical meditation, that is the special insight that totally differentiate characteristic of 18 spheres or 18 elements, and from that, then here Je Tsongkhapa says, therefore there are many different special insight in relation to meditation on special insight on conventional phenomena. So, so again, here, there's slightly two different explanations. What need to be generated before the shamatha and special insight according to instruction and perfection of wisdom. That is slightly different from the Shantidevas and Kamalashilas. So Lama Tsongkhapa is saying, he will follow the way Kamalashila and Shantideva presented it. Okay, and that is one of the unique of Lama Tsongkhapa's. He compared, he studies all different schools of thought, and their presentations, and then he will explain how those different masters explain different presentations, and then he will give his own thought on that. Sometimes he just give their presentation, he will not give his thought. Sometimes he will give his thought, and here he's saying there seems to be slightly too different, and then because of that, then he's going to follow mostly the Shantideva and Kamalashila here. That is what he's going to discuss and explain here according to that. And so now next is, the questions comes such approach, first cultivating the shamatha and then cultivating the special insight. Is that just special, uncommon, unique to just the Hinayana or Mahayana or Sudrayana or Tantriyana or Mantrayana? So then here Lama Tsongkhapa is saying, that kind of approach is common to all the Hinayana. So Hinayana has two, the school of Hirya and the school of great Kritika Buddha or solitary realizers. So it's common to them, as well as the great vehicle of perfection, that is Sudrayana. Okay, the perfection, the great vehicle of perfections is the Sudrayana. And so it's common to all of that. And not only that, in all school of thoughts. So for Buddhist school of thought, they all have same approach of presenting first shamatha and then special insight, all the school of thoughts. So they are all common to all of that. And then in the great exposition stages, the path of the mantra, which is, that lamrim of the Tantra, lamrim of the Tantra by Lama Tsongkhapa, he has already explained the different individual Tantra and their great commentary and effect. So therefore, he's not going to explain so much on that here. So those, and that is another uniqueness of Lama Tsongkhapa that you often see. That is another uniqueness of Lama Tsongkhapa is that certain topic that he have explained details in certain other writing, he will not go it again. He will refer to it. He will say, I have already explained in others. And that means, so you will not repeat that. And then those that he has not explained clearly or more detail in others, then he will go more details and clear in some that he has not done, and so that is also here, it shows that, And next ones, there's a quotations from the, Guya Samaja Tantra, as well as the descent to the Langa Sutras, So if you kind of take those literally, then again, it seems to, where it says, if you examine your own mind, all phenomena dwell in your mind, of course, all phenomena arises from your mind, all phenomena arises from your mind, and your mind is, the main mind is like the oceans, and afflictive emotions, all other positive emotions, are like the waves that comes through the oceans and it dissolves into the ocean itself. Everything arises from that mind and everything dissolves into that mind itself. So all phenomena dwell in that mind. Phenomena dwell in the world of space and they do not exist, nor does reality. So if you take that literally, then it seems to indicate that, all these phenomena do not exist, neither the reality exists, And so again, you see many similar statement quotation from many of sutra, and sometimes people get misunderstand. And then that is when they say, then they say there is no good, bad, there is no nirvana, there's no nirvana, samsara, all of that without understanding the context of that and taking it literally. And same in reliance on mind only, external things are not conceived or external things do not exist. It seems to indicate, if you take it too literally, it seems to indicate it's only the mind, no external thing exists. Okay. Of course, in mind only school, that is the case. But in Nagarjuna's school thoughts, there is internal existence or phenomena, and there is also external phenomena. So there's no rejections or negation of external phenomena. But if you take this literally, then it almost seems like that is what it's saying. So therefore, Lama Tsongkhapa clarifying of those statements, and so therefore it explained 3 levels of yoga or practice are taught. One mentioning, one is the observing the mind only. Second is observing the reality. So that is the emptiness, only. And third one, without appearance. And I'm not sure what this third one's without appearance. It could be, I'm not 100% sure. Sometimes, there is a concept of no object of meditations, no object of meditations. So for example, maybe when you are in a meditative equipoise, when you have meditative equipoise, when you are in meditative equipoise that realize the emptiness directly, then there is no appearance of the object of that emptiness. So I don't know whether that it is referring to that, not 100% sure, because I haven't seen any commentary regarding this one. So it says, it appeared the mode of attaining the samadhi and special insight in the first 2 levels, that is observing the mind or observing the reality, through the placement and enlightenment explains as about, therefore he asserts that way they are generated, so more similar. So that is in general that is common to Hinayana, Mahayana, Tandarayana, Sudrayana, Tandarayana, especially the 3 school of the 3 first classes of the Tandara. And when it comes to the highest yoga Tandara, so then here there's exception in relation to this practice. So that is where Lama Tsongkhapa was saying. With regard to the first 3 Tantra classic school, then they all are same. That kind of approach. First, you develop shamatha and then special insight. And then when it comes to the highest yoga Tantra, here it says, even in the context of highest yoga Tantra, our system requires, so this highest yoga Tantra, one's method of developing understanding view in accordance with appearance in the Madhyamika text. So you have to have understanding of emptiness according to Nagarjuna's point of view, even in highest yoga Tantra. For a highest yoga Tantra practitioner, the understanding of emptiness, in this system, the understanding of emptiness should be same as the understanding of emptiness explained in a middle way school by Nagarjuna. So there is no difference in terms of the explanation and understanding of the emptiness, whether it's a Sutrayana, such as school of thought of, or the highest yoga tantra, in terms of the understanding and presenting of the emptiness. Okay, that in respect to how to maintain that realizations of the emptiness, how to maintain that. Once you have realizations, how do you meditate and how do you maintain that realization? So that when it comes to that, then here, during the post meditations, when you are trying to meditate. So in highest yoga tantra, there are two stages: generation stage and completion stages. And when you are trying to meditate on emptiness and trying to maintain that, once you have understanding of emptiness according to the Madhyamika, according to Nagarjuna point of view, and then when you try to meditate and try to maintain it during the stages of generation and completion stages, during the post meditations, when you are in not meditative equipoise, then there is a way that you analyze. You can analyze. You analyze. You try to maintain the understanding of emptiness through analyzing, like as it is done in others, in Sutrayana or Bodhinayana, Mahayana, and other three schools which are taught, which is common that they do the analyze, the special insights analyzing. But there is one unique that doesn't require, when you do that kind of, while you are trying to do special insight meditations, where it doesn't require, or not only not required, you shouldn't be doing analytical meditations. And that is, as I think I also mentioned a little bit last week as well, and that is where in the highest yoga tantra, when you come to completion stages. And so here, Lama Tsongkhapa, however, those practicing completion stage who have attained ability to penetrate vital point of body, so through their working with their channels, through with their channels, energies and drops, through that, where they are able to, dissolve all the energy to the heart, opening of the channels, and thereby opening of the clear light mind, So in that stages, a practitioner who have reached completion stages, and when they are in that meditation, when they are opening their channels, by opening their channels, dissolving all the energies, winds into your heart, central heart, and by doing that, you are able to manifest the clear light mind, and then you use that clear light mind in your meditation here on a special insight. And in that situation, in that cases, then you don't do the analytical. That is the exception. So that is where it's saying. Certainly must meditate, placing the mind within the view when maintaining the meditative equipoise on suchness. Nevertheless, they do not perform analytical meditations of special insight in according to what appeared in other texts. So this is exceptional, okay, in such high stage of meditations. Also, it is explained in the highest yoga tantra, one can achieve, according to some of the commentaries, you can achieve shamatha and special insights simultaneously. So that is again different from this approach. This approach first you achieve shamatha and special insight. But according to some of the commentaries in highest yoga tantra, one can be able to achieve both samatha and special insight simultaneously. But again, many of those practice meditations, like for example, in this case, when you are in that completion stage like that, and when you are able to do that, then one could achieve that simultaneously, because you don't require analysis at that point to develop the shamatha, you know, when you meditate on shamatha, you know. And because of this such, it will come later, I think. Because of that, because then, you know, there are a lot of misunderstanding, you know, that you can achieve special insight or realization of emptiness directly without analyzing, and analytical meditation not required. Do you get it? There is a lot of misunderstanding, and who among the practitioners, among even some of the masters, you know, who refute analytical meditations is obstacles to have direct realization of emptiness. And one can achieve direct realization of emptiness without analysis. But again, such practice can be done only when you have reached very high level of practice, such as completion stages. Not only completion stage when you are in that particular stages or completion stages. So I think that is one. And so why in such meditation, how it is possible, you know, how it is possible. Here, Je Tsongkhapa, he's not going to go detail here again because it's not, otherwise it will go off the subjects, and because he will have to explain so much about the tantric practice, details, how that practice can be done, you know. So therefore he's, instead he's going to explain more of the Sudarayana approach here, and the other law tantric approach, you know. So so next one, explain the actual way to cultivate special insight in reliance on shamatha. And for us, you know, even though we do not have shamatha, you know, I mean, I cannot say we, I'm being, again, you know, I have to say I, okay? Even though I don't have shamatha, and who knows, you know, some of you might have shamatha, I cannot say for that, you know. But if you don't have, even though we do not have shamatha, you know, and to do the special insight, but at least we can do the meditation on emptiness, even without shamatha. Even without the shamatha, you can still do meditation on emptiness. You can still have a realization of emptiness, even without shamatha. We have to make this too clear. You cannot have a special insight without the shamatha. You cannot have a special insight realizing the emptiness without shamatha, but one can have realization of emptiness even without shamatha. So I want to clarify the realization of emptiness and the realizations of special insight realizing the emptiness. Those two different, okay? Special insight realizing emptiness cannot be achieved without shamatha, but realizations of emptiness without shamatha can be achieved or can be possible. And so therefore, you know, we don't have to wait to meditate on emptiness until we have shamatha. You can still do meditation on emptiness even without a shamatha. So of course, if you have shamatha, then of course your meditation will be more powerful. There's no doubt about that, you know, less distraction, more focus, more strong, but still. And so therefore, I think those here, the Je Tsongkhapa here explanation can be helpful for us to take in consideration when we meditate, when he explained here. So need to find the views. If you are not find the view of selflessness, so because you don't have understanding of the view of emptiness according to the Nagarjuna point of view here, okay? According to the Nagarjuna point of view, if you don't have, you know, even we don't have realization, but at least we need to have understanding of that. Without understanding of that view correctly, you cannot find the view, okay? So you need to have a correct understanding Even we might not have experiential realizations, but we need to have correct, unmistaken understanding of the emptiness according to Nagarjuna's point of view in order to find the view, okay? So if we cannot find the view of selfness, emptiness, no matter what system of meditation, whether you do analytical meditation or whether you do merely placing meditations, whatever different form of meditation you do, you perform, that meditation will not rest on meaning of suchness, that is why it's necessary to find the view. For example, if I've not understood and found the view, I could do a lot of different analytical meditations. I could perform different analytical meditations, or I could place my mind single-pointedly, but that meditation will not rest on the meaning of emptiness or suchness because you have not found the view. Okay? So finding the view, as I already explained, finding the view means you have the correct understanding, correct, unmistaken understanding of the emptiness according to the Nagarjuna point of view, Nagarjuna's view. So therefore, that is, so how to maintain that, the necessity to maintain the view. So then next, the need for both analytical and placement meditations. So even you have the understanding, okay, correct understanding, even you have the understanding of the view. So even you have the correct understanding of the view, but you are not mindful of it, or when you try to meditate, you don't recollect. You do not recollect that view at that point when you are meditating. Even though you have understanding of the view or the emptiness, but when you are trying to meditate, you are not recollecting that view. And without recollecting that view, and you do not place the mind upon it during the meditation of suchness, then that kind of meditation, the later will not be meditation on suchness. Okay? So here, 2 points. First, in order to be that your meditation on emptiness is correct meditation on emptiness, first you need to find the view. Secondly, it's not enough to find the view. Even you have found the view, when you meditate, you have to recollect the view. And then having recollect the view, then you have to keep your mind in that view. So if you don't collect that view at the time of meditation, even you have the understanding of the view, still that doesn't become meditation on emptiness. Okay? So very precise. Here, Lama Tsongkhapa making very precise how to meditate correctly on emptiness. So first is finding the view, and then once you find the view, when you meditate, you have to recollect that view and then meditate on that. If not, then it doesn't become meditation on. Then, thirdly, therefore placing the mind without reflecting on anything at the end of some little preparatory analysis of the view does not continue mental suchness either. So then the next one, at the very beginning, when you meditate, at the very beginning, you try to analyze a little bit on emptiness in your meditations. At the very beginning, you analyze a little bit, and then, you don't analyze anymore further, then you just remain kind of without analyzing, placing. That itself, that also is not meditating on emptiness. Okay? For example, I might be doing some kind of analysis at the very beginning, and then for maybe 20 minutes or half minutes, I'm just trying to remain in emptiness. And that 20 minutes, all of them doesn't become meditation on emptiness, because you are just it's just like you are clearing the thoughts. It just become like that. Your meditation just become clearing your thoughts or any concept, anything, just trying to be in that empty spaces all the time. So that itself is also not meditating on emptiness. It is important for us to remember how it is, that, because sometimes we might do some analysis at the very beginning, and then maybe for rest of the sessions, we might be just kind of not do any analysis and just remain in that kind of empty spaces for a long time, feel blissful about it. It is nice when you feel blissful, feeling blissful is not bad, but that doesn't act as an antidote towards the delusions. That's the key, So neither that, such is neither that. And so then another, being mindful, you recollect, mindful of the view, or you recollect the view. And then familiarizing oneself with that merely, and then you try to place your mind single pointedly on that view, And that also is not special insight. Here, that is nothing more than maintaining shamatha, as is explained before. Here, what happens is the object of your shamatha become emptiness, because you recollect that view, and then you try to place your mind single pointing on that. That is also neither meditating on emptiness or special insight. Okay, that is shamatha. So again, so hence, it is not the meaning of the text explaining different method for a special insight. So all of those kind of all these different way of meditating, all those four different way of meditating that Lama Tsongkhapa explained, they are not the meaning of the text when they explain how to meditate on special insight. Okay. So therefore, I think it is not so much here. So the way to do is, I think maybe it might come later too. I'm not 100% sure, but what you do is you try to analyze the objects, okay? When you try to meditate on, emptiness. Whether you are meditating on selfness as a person, or whether you are meditating on selfness of phenomena, whatever phenomena, objects. You try to meditate by using all these different scriptural quotations, reasoning, logic, analysis, until you come to a conclusion with a certainty, with 100% certainty, without any two-minded, that they are absolutely empty of existence, is on-site, empty of existing inherently. When you come to that conclusion, that certainty, without two-minded, strong certainty, then you try to remain in that empty spaces, in that empty state for a while, until that feeling that is not truly existing or inherent existence very strong. Then once that feeling is not the feeling of that is empty of inherently or truly existence, that feeling started to kind of decay or become weak, then again you restart the analysis. Then again you do the analysis with the reasoning and logic. Again, with some reasoning and logic, again you come to that certainty, that conclusion, without two-minded, is absolutely empty of inherent existence, absolutely empty of truly existing or existence is on-site. When you come to that, again, you try to keep your mind without analyzing in that state of mind, that empty. After some time, again, the feeling of that is empty of inherent and truly existing will again become weak. Again, you have to do that because, even when your feeling of that is empty of truly existing inherent is weak, but you still try to remain in empty spaces, then that is not the meditating emptiness, Lama Tsongkhapa already explained before, because you are just, so that is the slightly different. Do you see the slight difference? The slight difference where Lama Tsongkhapa refuting that at the very beginning, where you recollect it, but then even you try to place that, it doesn't become emptiness, that part, so that is where it is. So that is, I think, the importance of that. And then importance of, the need to alternately analyze analytical and placement meditations. And I think that is also that kind of, even though here is in the context of, here it is in the context of special insight, these particular meditations, but the need of analytical and placement meditation is same. You apply to all the different meditation, not the shamatha, but other meditation, whether we are doing meditation on bodhicitta, whether we are meditating on impermanent, whether we are meditating on faith, whether we are meditating on guru devotion, all of that, we need to alternately do both analytical or contemplations and placement meditations. Okay, so but here, of course, it is in the context of shamatha, but we apply that same technique of applying both meditation, both technique within all the meditations. And here, so one need to analyze the meaning of the emptiness, selflessness, and by the wisdom, and through that we try to maintain that, as I explained before. But if we only do analytical meditation, then our shamatha that we have already developed might deteriorate. Here, of course, we are talking about someone who has already developed shamatha, okay? Again, shamatha can be also deteriorated until you reach a certain point. Bodhicitta can be deteriorated until you reach a certain point. When you reach a certain point, then there is no coming back. There's no deterioration. But until then, it can be deteriorated. So you have to maintain that bodhicitta mind. And after you have developed not bodhicitta, the shamatha, once you have developed shamatha, if you don't maintain that, and if you do too much analysis all the time to develop the special insight, then there is a danger that your shamatha can deteriorate. And so therefore, therefore you should mount on the horse of shamatha. So while you're trying to be meditating on, shamatha, and on the basis of that shamatha, then you try to do the analysis, and then occasionally alternate with the placement meditation, back and forth, alternately. That's how you do it. And again, I just to give some example, as I mentioned before, it is in not this context, but I think it's important. I think for us who are trying to use meditation for our practice, even when you're doing meditation on loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, as I said, faith, to refuge, faith to the Buddha's Dharma, or all of that, impermanent. We try to do contemplation or analysis to come to certain conclusions and have that experience, that feeling, the feeling of love, compassion, bodhicitta, whatever feeling. By contemplating, you come to that feeling, And once you have that feeling, then you try to keep that feeling, placing that feeling, experience that feeling without analysis, just holding that feeling. Whatever that feeling, whether it's the faith, whether it is the loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, whatever, you try to hold on that feeling as much as you can hold. And when that feeling become weak, before it's strong, Now it started becoming weak and weak, and now you don't feel strong about that. Again, you do the analyze. Again, you do the contemplations. And when you do the analyze contemplations, then again, it leads to that strong feeling. And once you have that strong feeling, then again, you try to maintain and hold on that without analysis. And so that is how you do both contemplation or analytical meditation and placement meditations. And we try to apply that in all different practice, all different meditations, you know. So even though here Lama Tsongkhapa is explaining in the context of special insight in emptiness, because that is the subject here, but you bring that same technique to other practices and apply that. So again, you know, by doing too much analytical meditation, so then your stability factors become weak, then you should try to do more placement meditation to increase your stability factors and refresh your stability factors, you know. But on the other hand, if you try to do too much, you know, stabilizing or placement meditation, and if you do not do analysis, you know, then again, you might, you know, and too much that you increase your placement meditation or stability meditation, you know, and then because of that, if you started to decrease the analytical your mind, you know, then you have become too engrossed with that stable factors. So you should do more analytical meditations. So therefore, it's very important and powerful to alternately do both analytical and placement meditations, you know. And again, you know, because, for example, one good example of this, you know, sometimes you do some analysis at the very beginning, okay? And then you come to conclusion of that analysis, that certainty, and then you try to remain in emptiness. And just trying to remain in that emptiness, holding your mind in that emptiness, placing your mind in that emptiness for a long time is a kind of blissfulness. And you want to be in, that might make you want to be in that state all the time. You don't want to do analysis. Analysis requires effort. Do you get it? Sometimes we feel that. Don't you feel that sometimes? You know, I don't want to do analyze anymore. You know, it requires a lot of effort. It requires a lot of thinking, a lot of analyze. It's tiring. Rather, I will just not think anything and just keep my mind on that object. Sometimes I feel that way. You know, I wish I could just keep on that, just keeping on that, you know. If we do that, then you lose that your analytical ability and practice, and then also is not helpful. And sometimes I think that is one thing, you know, people are a lot of peoples are very drawn or attracted to that kind of meditations, not thinking, because it's very resting, peaceful, calming, you know. Well, if you are just looking for calming your mind, being just peaceful, just resting, that's great. But if you want to get out of samsara, if you want to eliminate all the afflictive emotions, all the delusions, then we have to have the special insight. And to have the special insight, we need to have the analytical meditations. We need to have analytical meditations, you know. So that is, but for resting, sometimes when you become very tired through that meditation, sometimes it's good to rest as well, to give rest to your mind. And for that resting, you can do that, Sometimes, when I have like, in a retreat, when I have like hour and a half, 2 hours, long sessions, you keep on doing that kind of analytical, your mind get kind of tired, It's constantly functioning all the time, constantly functioning all the time. And so sometimes I just rest. Sometimes I just kind of recite the mantra and just listen to the mantra, Just listen to the mantras and holding your mind, just listening. And that make you kind of rest, your mind to rest and, kind. Or or sometimes, certain other objects, just trying to keep the object of your visualizations and just holding your mind on that instead of doing a lot of analysis. And so that for resting, sometimes I think is a good and is required because and so that and so then that is by Kamala Shila in Stages of Meditation 3, that is explained very strongly, if your wisdom become very predominant, meaning your analysis become predominant, because especially inside then shamatha can be lessened, and therefore when your shamatha is not strong and your shamatha is weak, then your mind become like a flicker, like a butter lamp in the breeze or in the wind. So then your mind is not stable and focus. Your mind is not stable and focused. And without focus and stable mind, then again, it is hard to achieve the good result from your practice and meditations. On other hand, your shamatha or your placement meditation very strong, but if you don't, that become predominant, and if you don't have a strong analytical meditations, then it can become like someone who is sleepy, someone who is becoming sleepy. So they have no clarity, and so therefore you don't have clarity of that. And so therefore the needs of both of them, Mm. And then next analysis is, where we're refuting that, where some of the earlier masters, some practitioners, where they think, all the conceptions, such as Gyanahashang, the Gyanahashang, where they think all the conceptions are wrong, all the conceptions should be abandoned, all the conceptions are mistaken, And so then here Lama Tsongkhapa is saying, there are mistaken conception and non-mistaken conceptions. And not all the conceptions are, set grasping ignorance. Set grasping ignorance is only one of the conceptions. There are many other conceptions. And so not all the conceptions are something that you need to abandon. For example, loving kindness, compassion, they're conceptions, We don't abandon the loving kindness and compassions. That is conceptions, Also, my understanding, this computer as being a computer is a conception, but that is, unmistaken. Relatively, maybe, it can be mistaken and unmistaken. It is unmistaken in relation to the main object, is a mistaken because there's appearance of truly existence. But in terms of the main, in terms of the main object itself, then is unmistaken, and so therefore that. And so, okay, maybe next one. the next one, rejecting the objections, where it says, again, the point of meditation is to develop non-dualistic, non-conceptual, direct realization of emptiness. Okay, of course, that is the one of the main points, to be able to develop non-duality, non-conceptual, direct realization of emptiness. So some of the misunderstanding is because that is the main goal. Therefore, we shouldn't have any kind of analysis, because if you do analyze, it's a conceptions. Analysis is conceptions. So therefore, there is that kind of strong view of that within the practitioner in the past, even now, there are certain practitioners, who thinks we shouldn't have any conceptions, we shouldn't do any analysis, because analyze it create more conceptions. And you are trying to get free of conceptions. So then they see is a contradictions. Do you get it? They see is a contradictions because the object, the goal is to be able to develop non-conceptual, non-dualistic direct realization of emptiness to achieve enlightenment. If that is the case, when you use reasoning, logic, inference, then it only increases more conceptions. And therefore, it becomes obstacles for cultivating non-conceptual, non-dualistic view. That is the view of Lord. Therefore, a lot of some practitioners, they try to meditate without using any kind of conception, without using any kind of analysis, any kind of inference, any kind of logic in that. And they refute all of this. So that is, and I think it's important to us to understand that too, because sometimes, if we think that is really the case, then we're wasting a lot of time studying all of this, spending so much time to study, because there are some who think you shouldn't be studying is a obstacle for enlightenment, because studying is obstacle for a non-dualistic and non-conceptual, because it only increase more conceptions. There is strong view of that, even now among many practitioners. And so therefore they're discouraged from studying. They say, just meditate. Just meditate. No study, just meditate. And so that is where this Je Tsongkhapa, here, So here, the objections come. If the meditation of suchness for the sake of generating non-conceptuality, non-dualistic, direct realization of emptiness for enlightenment, then it will not arise from individual analysis. If you use analysis by reasoning and logic, because for cause and effect must accord, have to be similar. In these cases, the cause and effect will be not similar or accord, because the cause is analysis, conceptual, and the effect is non-conceptual and non-dualistic. So, and then the response to that, then such is from Sutra point of view and from the commentary point of view, Je Tsongkhapa responds to such objection and clear that misunderstanding. So blessed one, Buddha himself have given clear that answer in the one of the sutra in the Kashapa chapter, where is the Kashapa is like this: fire spring up from two trees rubbed together by the winds, and once it has sprung up, both trees are consumed by it. I don't know exactly how this example works, when two trees kind of rub, I don't know how the fire starts. that part, I'm not exactly how this example, exactly how it works. But there is in Tantric, there is another school examples. And even though I cannot identify exactly that particular insect, they say, you know, there is an insect that are born from the wood, you know, from the wood, from the moisture and everything from that wood. Then there is insects is kind of, can you say born? Insects born from that, and that insect started eating the wood itself. The very insect that come through that wood, eat the wood later. And so similarly, it's like that, you know. The very wisdom that arises from the conceptions at the very beginning, reason and logic, will able to overcome the conception later. Do you get it? Just the example here is with a tree that produced the fire, that fire consumed the tree itself. The tree create the fire. Maybe better example will be, you know, with the lightning, then there is fire in the tree. You know, from the tree, the fire comes. And from that, the fire, it destroyed the other trees and that tree itself. You know, and so similarly, that is where it is. You know, so likewise, Kashyapa, when there is a correct individual analysis. So here is clearly Buddha explain, analyze, individual analysis. Clear, correct individual analysis. And Arya wisdom faculty developed. The Arya wisdom is the wisdom that relies emptiness directly. Okay? The wisdom that relies emptiness directly is non-conceptual, non-dualistic. And that Arya wisdom that relies emptiness directly without any dualistic view, without any conceptuality, is given rise by what? By correct individual analysis at the very beginning. So at the very beginning, is required, is needed. So it is not an obstacle, it's a conducive, it is necessary. And develop, and through its development, the individual analysis itself is consumed. So that means the conception, that then you don't need so much conceptions anymore and you don't need so much analysis to do that, you know. And so that is, so again, it is clear in Buddha's own, and then in terms of the Kamala Shila state meditation too, again, he explains same thing clearly, you know. And again, he quote from the Buddha, the blessed one said, and the fire and that reality, same things, you know, where he says, it says, is how they analyze with wisdom. When yogis, the practitioner, definitely do not apprehend any entityness of things, ultimately, you know, they enter the concentration of complete non-conceptually or non-dualistic, you know, when they have direct realizations, you know. And they also realize the entity of all phenomena as non-existence, you know, because in that mind that realizes emptiness directly, no phenomena appear to that. No phenomena exists in that mind. Those who fail to individually analyze the entity of such with the wisdom and to meditate on that, instead cultivate just mere abandoned mental attention, will never stop conceptuality. So here, you know, it means just by stopping the thoughts without using analysis. Without using analysis, just by stopping all the thoughts, mental, here the mental attention, without just by stopping all the thoughts, can never stop dualistic view, conceptual view, can never stop. And again, that is important, because again, there are a lot of misunderstanding where they think, to achieve enlightenment is to clear your mind of all the thoughts. That is what it is. The technique to achieve enlightenment is clear all the thoughts, all the concept, all the thought, all the concept. By stopping all the thought, all the concept, then you can achieve enlightenment. And therefore, the tool, the method to achieve enlightenment is not to have any thought, emptying your thoughts. There are a lot of meditators who are trying to empty the thoughts, just not have any thoughts. That is all. And so here is clearly mentioned, with that kind of technique, with that kind of meditation, we'll never stop conceptualism. We'll never stop conception, dualistic view. They will never realize non-existence of entity or emptiness, either because they will lack the light of wisdom. They will lack of the wisdom that comes through analysis. And so then he used the same example that is from that sutra. And then Lama Tsongkhapa here, it doesn't always have to be same, the cause and effect. And if that was the case, here he says the uncontaminated would not possibly arise from the contaminated, For example, uncontaminated phenomena or object cannot be transformed into contaminated phenomena cannot be transformed in uncontaminated. If it always has to be the same. It will never be able to, contaminated phenomena cannot be transformed into uncontaminated. It will be not possible. Nor super mundane from the mundane, nor something can be transformed from ordinary to super mundane, Nor, sentient beings can become Buddha. Sentient beings is full of delusions, obscuration. Buddha is free from all the delusion. They are not same. So sentient being cannot become a Buddha, Nor ordinary can become an Arya. Nor ordinary being can become an Arya, because ordinary beings do not have realization of emptiness directly, whereas Arya has Buddhism. So therefore, Arya, ordinary cannot become, and so forth, because the cause and the is not exactly same. And so therefore, that kind of argument, the argument saying, that you cannot destroy the dualistic view of you cannot develop non-dualistic, non-conceptual state of mind with a conceptual thought, with a reasoning logic. And that kind of argument cannot stand. Otherwise, you will have all these problems on the basis because the cause and result are not same or similar. So I think with that, maybe we conclude here today. Okay. I guess, yeah. Okay, yeah. I think today, there is a lot of today's, I think there are a lot of points that we can apply in our, practice and meditations. And I think you have to, this will be this chapter, or especially this around this particular, that is something I can read again, try to remember that and apply that in your practice meditations, how to bring that in your practice and meditations, okay? Okay, so we do the dedications. Due to the merit of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the Supreme Jewel Bodhisattva that is not arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. Chikden kamde pende malu ba kangle chungwe sambe yishe no kadin chungme tenzin jaso la sowa deso tuje lundu sho. Tuzu changshin chamgun jawe tenzin jong pewe kunso to porozu cho song kuwe le mo tudu ba da so du je gwendu shak ten sho. Venerable One, to you whose kindness exists that of all conqueror for those who wander in far places, especially the West, mindful of your loving concern for us and intentionally descending again into a family of far distant land, we make this request, O Lama, please live long. Okay. Thank you. I think, how are the special insight of emptiness and realization of emptiness different? I think I did mention already that the difference is, to have the realization of emptiness, we don't need to achieve shamatha. One can have realization of emptiness even without the shamatha. But one cannot have special insight realizing the emptiness without the shamatha. The shamatha realizing the emptiness only comes after the special insight realizing the emptiness only comes after once I develop shamatha. So that's the difference. So even without the shamatha, one can have realization of emptiness, but one cannot have special insight realizing the emptiness. Okay? Okay. Okay. Good night, everyone. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Geshe.
Thank you.
Thank you.